The first warning wasn't the scream, but the silence that came after. My 7-year-old, Leo, had been building a skyscraper with his blocks, the happy, intermittent clicks a soothing backdrop to the thankless task of clearing my family's dinner plates. But then the clicking stopped. A beat of perfect quiet before a raw, piercing shriek ripped through the air. I dropped a handful of silverware. It clattered across the linoleum. I found him on the living room rug, writhing, his little hands desperately rubbing his eyes. Standing over him was my sister, Chloe, looking utterly unbothered. In her hand, she held a sleek, expensive bottle of perfume. "Leo, honey, what is it?" I gasped, rushing to his side. "It burns! Mommy, she sprayed me!" "He was staring," Chloe said with a dismissive shrug, as if discussing the weather. "It was creepy. He needs to learn not to stare at people." "You sprayed perfume in a child's eyes?" I was shaking with a rage so profound it stole my breath. I could already see the angry red welts forming on his delicate skin. That's when I heard it. A snort from my father's armchair. "Serves the little weirdo right." Then my mother's light, airy laugh floated from the sofa. "Honestly, lighten up," she chirped, picking at her nails. "At least he smells better now. Maybe he'll teach him some manners." Something inside me fractured. The sound of their indifference was more violent than any scream. I swept Leo into my arms, the cloying scent of gardenias and cruelty filling my nostrils, and fled to the bathroom. I locked the door, the click echoing in the sudden quiet. I spent the next hour flushing his eyes with water, his panicked sobs slowly quieting into shuddering breaths. He finally fell asleep in my arms, his face swollen and tear-stained, on the cold tile floor. I held him tight all night, listening to the muffled sounds of the TV. It was in that cold, silent bathroom that my old life ended and a new, terrible resolve was born. The pounding on the bathroom door started with the sunrise. First, it was Chloe's sharp, impatient rapping. "Are you done being a drama queen? Mom's making coffee." I clutched Leo tighter, his back spow rising and falling against my chest. I didn't answer. The silence infuriated them. My mother's voice sliced through the wood, dripping with venom. "Get out here right now, you ungrateful brat. You think you can just lock yourself in my house and waste my water on that crybaby?" She words were meant to sting, to remind me of my place. "No wonder Chloe is the one with a life. You're just like your father's pathetic sister. Weak." I opened the door. The sight of Leo's pale, swollen face didn't give them pause. I walked past them into the bedroom and started throwing our few belongings into a backpack. "What do you think you're doing?" my mother snapped, blocking the doorway. "You owe us for this month's rent. We house you, we feed you, and that mistake." "That mistake is my son," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "He's a leech, just like you," she hissed. My father, hiding behind his morning paper, didn't move a muscle. His silence was his endorsement. We walked out. With no car and no money for a bus, I carried Leo the 3 miles to the city's free clinic. His head rested heavily on my shoulder. The intake nurse, a woman with tired but kind eyes, took one look at his red-rimmed eyes and whispered, "Oh, honey, what happened?" I looked at the linoleum floor and said the words that felt like swallowing glass. His aunt assaulted him. My parents watched. The doctor confirmed it was a chemical burn on his corneas. Thankfully, no permanent vision loss, but he'd need medicated drops for 2 weeks. The prescription cost $32, every last cent I had in the world. That night, a woman from a mom's group I was in online offered us her spare room. It was a dusty, forgotten space, filled with old boxes, but the door had a lock, and she left a tray of sandwiches and a carton of juice outside before she left for her night shift. As Leo drifted to sleep, he whispered, "Is Auntie Chloe going to find us?" "No, baby," I promised, my heart aching, but I knew she was already here, a ghost in his memory, a trauma etched into his mind. The next day, I started my new life. I worked at a 24-hour laundromat, folding strangers' clothes until 3 a.m., the scent of bleach and detergent clinging to me. I took on cleaning jobs during the day, scrubbing floors in empty houses, my body screaming with exhaustion. But I smiled. I thanked people. I worked as if a furnace of pure fury wasn't burning in my gut. Weeks turned into a month. My family never called. Chloe, however, was thriving online. She'd started a lifestyle blog, posting filtered photos of herself doing yoga with captions like "cutting out toxic energy" and "protect your peace." The irony was a physical blow. Meanwhile, Leo grew more fragile. He'd stop building things. He'd retreat into himself at any sudden noise, and he never, ever met anyone's gaze. One night, after a 16-hour stretch of working, I sat on our lumpy mattress and held my phone, my thumb hovering over the number for Child Protective Services. I imagined the phone call, the investigation, Chloe's charm, my mother's tears, my father's stoic denial. They would close ranks, paint me as unstable, a bitter, jealous sister. I had been their scapegoat my entire life, so why would it be different now? Looking at Leo sleeping, a crease of worry still on his brow, I knew justice wasn't something they would give me. It was something I would have to take. No, not justice. Revenge was too messy. I wanted something cleaner, colder. I wanted consequences, and I would be the architect of every last one. It began by erasing them. A week later, Chloe sent me a text. "Hope you taught your little creep not to stare. So embarrassing for you." I didn't reply. I just blocked her number. Then my mother's, then my father's. Then I got back to work. I saved every dollar. I worked holidays, weekends, and overnight shifts. We lived on day-old bread and canned soup. Leo slowly began to emerge from his shell. He started to draw, filling pages with small, timid figures. Many of them were missing their eyes or had them scribbled out. After 6 months, I had enough for a deposit on a small studio apartment above a bakery. The smell of fresh bread woke us up in the mornings instead of bleach. It was the first home that was truly ours. It was safe, but I was far from finished. I enrolled in night classes at the community college. I studied social work and family law, devouring textbooks about trauma, narcissistic abuse, and the cycles of violence. My rage was the fuel, but knowledge was the weapon. I needed to understand the mechanics of their cruelty to dismantle it. Leo started seeing a child therapist at a sliding scale clinic. Slowly, his drawings changed. The figures got bigger. One day, he drew a picture of a little boy with a shield and a woman with a bright yellow cape standing in front of him. "That's you, Mommy," he said, his voice clear. "You're the protector." That night, I held that drawing to my chest and cried, not with sorrow, but with a terrifying, strengthening resolve. I wrote it down in a cheap notebook. I will be his shield. I will build a world so safe for him that they can't even cast a shadow on it. 2 years passed. I earned my associate's degree and got a job as a victim's advocate at the county courthouse. I helped people navigate the labyrinth of restraining orders and custody hearings. I learned the system from the inside out. My family heard about my new life. Chloe was the first to reach out, using a friend's account to send me a message. "Heard you're working with criminals now. Figures. You always loved playing the victim." I deleted it without a second thought. A month later, my father appeared at the courthouse cafeteria. He sat down opposite me, his presence an invasion. "Your mother wants to know if you're coming for Christmas," he said as if no time had passed. "No," I said, not looking up from my report. He scoffed, still holding a grudge over that little perfume incident. "It was chemical assault," I said, finally meeting his gaze. "Ask Leo what the difference is." For a single fleeting moment, a flicker of something, maybe shame, crossed his face. He quickly buried it under a sneer. "You think you're so much better than us." "No," I said. "I just know what a parent is supposed to be." I walked away, leaving him sitting there alone. The real consequences began quietly. Chloe's wellness brand